Yes, last we left off, the past episode, was it just the tavern? Is that all we did last episode? I think all we did was half a mug last episode.
I think so.
Yeah, because we started with descriptions of disguises. Um, so we the party went to the Half a Mug Tavern, where they met all, or not really met, but they saw all manner of colorful characters, and had a nice little meal in the industrial district of Storgard. I believe, some of the important information they gleaned was the name the Light Hands. And other than that, they just did some people watching. Spotted an artificer type half elf, a very live looking air genasi, a big ol' half orc cook, and the person whom they got the name the Light Hands from, thanks to Call's observant feet, read the lips of a dark-skinned woman who was talking to two looked like working class dwarf men, and mentioned that this is what the Light Hands do. No real context other than that. The party left the tavern with plans to speak to the guards, who they got a list of names of the guards who were present at the execution. And I think that's where we are. You're muted.
Sounds about right.
Yes, I am. Okay.
Cool. So I guess
So-
we head over there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the same thing. Okay, so we're heading over there.
Where is there?
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
The city guard.
Yeah.
You're going to
Go visit
the guard hall?
Yes, let's
Okay.
go to the guard hall and see, like, inquire if they know anything about, like, the Light Hands. Actually, I think before we leave, Call's going to ask. Call's gonna ask Henry and Ren, like how do we want to approach this? Because are we still in the? We walked back to the barracks, didn't we?
We walked back to the barracks and got changed into regular clothes. Our normal clothes.
Okay, so but where did we meet when we changed?
I think we're gonna just meet back in the courtyard, I guess. So we can move. I mean, I didn't write down where we met up, so we can be anywhere.
Yeah, we can just say that y'all are finishing up getting changed and can now decide, or I mean, you can even have planned where to meet up afterward if you want.
Okay, courtyard. And now we're deciding to go to the guard hall. Yeah. Or before
Call's
then.
going to say while we're there, how much do we want external involvement? Call is not saying the Light Hands or anything like that out loud, so if anyone's listening, they're not going to get much. But how much do we want involvement? Are we okay with including them at the risk of them being found? Or because I'm not sure that their motives were wholly bad.
I'm inclined to agree. What does that mean for our investigation with Captain Dawn, though?
I think there's a difference between telling people who need to know versus telling everyone. I'm not saying that we can't include anyone. I'm saying we should consider how broad we want that inclusion to be.
I agree. Go ahead.
No, just probably very conservative about that. I mean, we don't have to. It seems best practice lately to involve as few people as possible. But I interrupted you, Henry.
I mean, I agree. The only argument I have for including who we're going to see into the inner circle is they might have more information about this group. Where if we don't include them, we would have to do all of that investigative work on our own, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to point that out.
No, I agree. I'm inclined to, if we decide to keep everyone informed, I would restrict that information to the people at the top of that chain, of those chains of command. Like, if we're going to ask questions, at least don't bring it up to literally everybody. At least be conservative about where we discuss it.
So just the two people in command of the groups that we're referring to, right? So not telling anybody else.
That's, if we decide to go that route, then that would be how I vote.
Yeah, I don't think there's any benefit in telling anyone else. Unless, I mean, of course we can talk about it again in the future if somebody else presents themselves that might have more information. But as a general rule, I think it's a good idea to just not tell anyone.
So does that mean if we're going to question the guards who are there at the day of the execution, we need to phrase things a little bit more carefully, or what are we going to ask them?
Okay, at this point, we're kind of avoiding. We're kind of getting too into the nitty gritty with this conversation. Can we please, perception check?
Sure, go ahead.
We're not being as circuitous as we probably should be. Oh wow, oof, that was a whole 13, my guy.
I mean, I think we're all looking around.
Yeah, that seems like a good thing to do. And
go ahead.
Ren said that's a nat 20.
Okay.
Okay.
Well. Ren does spot a little foxy face up on a roof nearby.
Ren literally just does this.
I believe, I don't remember exactly who it was that this happened to before, but this fox grins at you.
I think that happened to Henry before. Yeah.
I love that.
Okay. Yeah, Ren is gonna look to the others and say, the fox is back. I think we should find somewhere more private to talk.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess any of our rooms could be empty right now.
Let's just go to Ren's room. It's guaranteed to be.
Okay.
All right. Just because you did roll a nat 20 on perception, I'm going to point out there were, on a nat 20, you are certain that no one else was listening in, but you did see the little fox grin at you.
Yep.
I love that. He's a good boy. Or girl. We don't really know its gender.
I don't know if foxes have much of a concept of gender. Anyway, we're going to Ren's room, and Pier is there, and
Call is immediately going to just scoop up Pier.
she just purrs. It is just thunder. Anyway, so yeah, Ren's room. Ren's gonna do his little looking around thing.
Okay. Well, I don't like that these days we have to second guess every motive all the time. But this is the world we're living in, and we need to assess. It did not seem like their goals were so thoroughly opposed to our own. As such, I'm hesitant to bring the full force and full attention of the guards to them. I also don't want to protect them based on the assumption that we're in alignment. So we're kind of operating on a lose-lose situation here. I personally would advocate for always keeping Zerka informed, and I think at this point I'm tempted to just make sure the captain knows, but to advocate for caution and with the captain, and to definitely not bring them up by name to any of the other guards that we speak with. If we can
So
avoid
just strictly asking them for observations, not really mentioning the information we got at the tavern or anything like that. Just asking them questions about what they saw.
That's usually the best way to do it, in my opinion. If you bring up any observations of your own, people have a tendency to try and fill in gaps, and they can be very suggestible. We could end up having someone find connections where there were none because you suggested or implied anything. So, honestly, I think that's probably for the best.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't mind playing close to the chest, and not talking to even the captain about anything we find until we have more concrete knowledge. I don't think that's going to be seen badly because we're investigating something, and I think the captain's going to know that investigations are sensitive topics, and I don't want to ever lie to him, but I don't think it would be bad to withhold the information. But I do want to ask why. What are your thoughts on why the light hands could be aligned with our interests? Like, what sparked that?
The perspective I got from our brief interaction with them was that they wanted to rescue Fist and seemed genuinely upset when they weren't able to. I am not pretending that they did not kill a bunch of people while they were there. I am not pretending that they are wholly innocent parties, but then again, who is? But I am wondering what their motivations are and where they fully stand on things. Because, I mean, think about honestly, think about the Thieves Guild. They ended up being significantly friendlier to us than I otherwise would have expected. I hesitate to bring the force of the guard onto someone who could end up being like them. So I don't want to lie to the captain. I'm inclined to honestly tell him this information. I want to bring up my concerns about it, I guess.
On this note, I do have someone I would like to ask really quick. And Ren takes out the ring.
Ooh.
So, okay, he's
Yes.
just gonna pop the ring on
Okay.
and just say, "Hello, friend."
I was not prepared with the ring immediately. When you put on the ring, you feel immediately there's kind of a, it's not loud, but there's a bit of a static sound that's just fuzzy.
Okay.
As soon as you say hello, it immediately begins to quiet, and you hear a very familiar voice in your mind just respond with an elven greeting that basically means honor to your family.
Does Ren get the feeling that this is the usual kind of personality he's talking to?
It's certainly the same voice.
Okay. How are you? Ren might even like start asking like in Elvish if that's a thing.
Ren's gonna speak in Elvish.
Yeah.
Okay. It just responds, well, not much changes.
Okay. I'm hoping to go to the library soon. Would you like anything? I'm going to Whataburger. Can I pick anything up for you?
I have
Uh,
$12.
it gives you the title of a fairy tale book.
Okay. Ren actually writes that down.
Okay, I will get you the actual title, which it is in, the title itself is in Elvish.
Nice.
I will get that to you soon.
Okay. I have another fun question for you. It seems my life is a little bit more interesting than I would have originally expected it to be, so I have these questions for you. Do you know of any kind of group, possibly called the Light Hands?
There is a little bit of a chuckle in the voice when it says, someone might, but not my someone.
Do you know of any other someones?
It still has this kind of laugh to its voice as it says, I know many someones, but there is only one someone.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll talk to you later and I'll see if I can find the book.
You get an image of a person entirely made of shadow giving a deep bow.
Ren's not sure he can like bow back in his mind, but yeah, he'll just, kind of give like a respectful, like friendly kind of attitude and then take the ring off. So, okay. He's probably still gonna be like fiddling with it for a second before he like pockets it, but he's like, okay, that did not help, but that's okay. We want to go talk to the guards now?
Sure, lead the way.
Okay. And I guess we're going to the guard tower and we're gonna operate as discussed.
So, sorry, just to be clear, we're not bringing up the light hands to the captain yet.
Oh, I thought we were bringing it up to the captain.
To the captain, but not the other guards.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, let's go.
Sorry, now I'm second guessing it. I think before they leave, Henry stops like, because Henry asks for clarification. If we mention the light hands, the captain's gonna know where we got that information. And we don't know him yet. We don't know if he's gonna immediately start looking into them, and if it does turn out to be a Thieves Guild situation, or if they turn out to be people that we want to ally ourselves with or protect, who knows? They could be friends. I think we should withhold it from him for now, unless he specifically asks.
How about this? Not 100% sure I agree with you, but how's this for a compromise? Right now, we don't even address the captain at all. We just go ahead and speak to the guards that he gave us a list for the other day, see what we can learn from that, and then we can realign.
Okay.
If we don't learn anything, maybe this is a discussion we bring up again then, and if we do learn anything, maybe that will inform our decision a little more clearly. I think the problem we're going to find is that we don't have the luxury of getting to know people well enough to decide to make informed decisions about trust. I think at this point it becomes a matter of instinct and safety. And I don't think we're in a position where we are safe keeping too much information to ourselves. We are too low on the totem pole for that to be a decision that we can make without much consequence. So, but yes, we can postpone a decision on that and just go ahead and interview the other guards.
All right. That's good.
Let's go.
Okay, so y'all are going directly to the guard hall to look for the guards that on your list of names. I'm just flat out not going to come up with a list of names for random purposes. But I will say you get there pretty quickly and are able to find one of them rather easily.
All right. Well, what's like? Where is he? Is he eating in the hall? Is he on duty? Like, where is he?
So he is in on the training floor of the guard hall. As you approach, he is actually like resting from a sparring bout. He is one of the few who managed to get out without being injured in any way, so he has just been on duty since. Not like he hasn't been working since the execution, but like he's, normal duties since the execution.
All right. Well, I think Henry's gonna just go and is he's sitting? You said.
Yeah, he's just kind of like sitting watching others train for the moment. He just finished a bout and is taking a breather.
All right. Well, I think Henry's gonna go sit next to him and say hello and introduce himself.
He gives you a smile and like a little wave type gesture and says, yeah, can I help you?
Hi, we wanted to talk to everyone who was at the execution, and just because we're looking into what happened, and I know that you probably have already talked to some others, but we were wondering if you could recount what you saw.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you said, we debriefed with the captain. Uh, I didn't really see much. I was posted on the west side of the platform. Everything went to shit so quick. I didn't even see where the arrows were coming from. And then I mean, the three of you were there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were there, but I mean, everybody has a different perspective. Everybody was standing in different places, and if you saw something we didn't, then I think that would be valuable for us to
I
know.
mean, I was at crowd level, so there really wasn't much I saw. Just arrows coming in. Uh, I mean, I gave chase to one of the ones that was pointed out trying to flee, but I mean, I never even saw them. I was just told to run a direction, so I did. I looked for someone with weapons and didn't see any.
At any point, did you see anybody who was armed?
Uh, I saw a body as I was running. It had an arrow in it.
Was there anything familiar um about the body? Like, did it look like any uniform or any type of place from the city, or did it make you think of anything?
No uniform, definitely. He had a crossbow. He was very still when I came on him, and I had been told that there was still someone in the direction I was going, so I didn't get a long look at him. Roll for him real quick. No, nothing really identifying. I mean, I was a little surprised by how like he wasn't wearing any kind of disguise, like no mask, face covering, or anything like that. But there wasn't anything about him to specifically point him out to me. I mean, it's a big city. He wasn't someone I had seen before.
I mean, I'm assuming that you've been all around the city. Did his clothes indicate any certain sector of the city, or does he look like he would be any certain type of profession?
I mean, like I said, I didn't have a long look at him. I didn't investigate his body. I just saw it as I was running. I mean, he wasn't covered in coal dust, which, I mean, that's the best indicator of anything in the city. And I mean, he wasn't finely dressed, so I guess not the noble quarter or the industrial. But other than that, it could have been anything. Could have been an out of towner for all I know.
I think Henry looks at Call and Ren like do y'all have any other questions?
Call gives Henry a thumbs up.
Like
You're doing such a good job, guys.
baby spies. Henry goes, okay, well, thank you so much for talking with me for a little bit. What was your name? And Ben, you don't have to come up with a name, but Henry wants to know this guy's name.
Bex.
Bex? Okay. Great. So I think Henry gives him a firm handshake and says goodbye. And they
Like as y'all are heading out, he stands back up for another training bout. So. All right. Are y'all planning on hunting down everyone on the list and trying to speak to them?
As much as possible.
Okay. Well, just so we don't role play that scenario again 6 more times, I'm going to say 2 of them are actually unavailable. The other 4, I believe I told you there were 7 that were healthy enough for duty. The other 4 give remarkably similar comments. 2 of them were wounded, but it wasn't bad enough that they're still bedridden, as quite a few of them are. But it, so the only thing extra that you get is that they describe the toxin on the arrows as being a very hot pain. But other than that, nobody really saw much. A couple of them were literally caught in the darkness spell and saw almost nothing the entire fight. One of them also saw the whoever cast the darkness running away on the rooftops, but that was information you already had. You don't really gather much new.
Solid response. Good DMing work.
Well, after we strike out with all the other ones, I think Henry turns to them and turns to Ren and Call and says, I can heal people. Why don't we go to the ones who are injured? I can heal them and we can talk to them.
I'm sure they'd appreciate it. I feel like they'd think the questioning a small price to pay for not having to be bedridden.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Call kind of like elbows Ren a little bit and like kind of gestures at Henry with this like, do you see him? Look at him. He's doing so good. He's doing investigative shit. Look at him.
Yeah, we're just
Call is very
nods
pleased.
proudly.
Since you mentioned it twice, Henry does seem to be taking charge a little bit more. Still deferring to Ren and Call, like if they have questions, and still being considerate, but he does seem to be walking with a little bit more purpose than normal. Yeah.
I love it. We love to see it.
Okay.
All right. So I guess the captain said where the injured people were. I don't remember where, but I guess we head there since Henry would remember.
There's an infirmary wing in the building.
You are muted, or I can't hear you.
I am muted. There's an infirmary wing in the guard hall.
Oh, okay. Perfect. We go there.
Yeah. So first of all, just a little bit of explanation on as to how just things work. Spells and spell slots and healing capabilities are relatively expensive. People get hurt and are left to just heal often because of how taxing it is on healers to do healing and how expensive healing potions and the like are. If you think about it, like a gold is supposed to be a month's wages. A gold is a moderate living style for a month. And a healing potion costs 50 gold. Just like a plain healing potion that's 2d4 plus 2 healing. So at the going rate, the average Joe doesn't have every hurt and bump healed by either a potion or a healer. Someone in life-threatening danger is usually brought to stable condition, and then left to recover. I've actually been spending a little bit of time thinking about this because, like, if everybody can heal, why is anyone ever hurt? Why is Jax laid up in a bed right now?
Why did Henry not think to heal Jax? What the fuck? I'm gonna give the reason that
Fuck Jax.
what?
Jax is getting fucked, and not in the way he would like.
I'm gonna give the excuse that Henry has only had healing powers for like 2 months at this point, and sometimes forgets. I'm gonna put that under his neurodivergency, as he's forgetful sometimes.
Along with that, there are some injuries that are not healed by a healing potion. So, for instance, Jax has severely broken ribs that are like internal and broken. I would say that needs a little more than just points of healing to fix. I've been thinking about this a long time of like, because also Bronwyn and I had a short conversation about scars and like, when do you get scars? And I was like, why would you ever scar if there's magical healing? And so I've kind of come to the decision that my basis is rules as written. Lots of what is the word I'm thinking of? Someone's dead and you bring them back to life. Like resurrection, revivify. Those type of spells don't replace missing limbs or missing body parts, and while they do bring you back to life, if you had your hand cut off, your hand doesn't grow back. So I'm saying that type of injury of something is removed from your body isn't healed by regular, just like HP healing. I'm saying like restorations does more of that. So like lesser restoration, I think, would fix a broken bone, whereas it would take like greater restoration, maybe mixed with something else, to restore missing body parts. And those are very high level spells. Those are very expensive as far as the economy of like a player is concerned. That being said, I'm not sure that Henry actually has the capability to heal Jax from his wound right now. And also, that being said, moving to these guards who are, down for the count, they are inflicted with poison, which can lay on hands, heal poison.
I thought that was kind of its whole thing.
It's like it costs like 5 points, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have cure wounds locked and loaded, ready to go, so you would have to come back tomorrow with that intent. But for lay on hands, I have 30 HP that I can do per day for long rest, or 5 HP to either cure a disease or neutralize a poison. So yeah.
So you could neutralize the poison on 6 separate guards if you wanted to drain your lay on hands pool entirely.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Go ahead and mark that off on your sheet.
Sorry, how many guards were affected?
Did I give a number before?
I think you said 2.
So 2 of the guards y'all were speaking to previously were wounded during the execution.
Gotcha.
2 of the 7 were wounded and had recovered.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's still a pretty large number that are still bedridden from the poison trying to recover. As I said, if they were in life-threatening situations, they probably would have gotten a spell cast on them or something to stop that from happening. So they are in stable condition. Like there's a very low chance that they're just going to die from what's going on right now. But they are still bedridden, at least not work capable. Guard work.
You
Uh,
did not say how many guards are unconscious. You only said that there were 7 that were conscious.
Okay.
I looked back a couple
I think
sessions.
there's more than 6 that are. I'm going to say they're not all unconscious, but they're just not fit for work.
Okay. Yeah, Henry drains all 30 points of his lay on hands pool.
Okay. Well, that's still a very Henry thing to do, but I'm going to continue in the way I did before. These guys, if anything, no less. They were dropped earlier in the fight, and in a lot of cases were dropped to unconsciousness. So they saw even less than the ones that you spoke to. They do more descriptions of the hot pain of the poison, and lots of thank yous that they're now not in any pain.
Yeah. Henry has detect poison and disease. You can identify the kind of poison, poisonous creature, or disease in each case. He doesn't have that prepared either. So he would have to come back tomorrow, but maybe I think he says that in so many words, not in so many words, to write a call of like, I do have the ability to find out what the poison is. I'll have to pray to Lyra tomorrow to get that ability because I don't have that right now. But if we want to come back and if we think that would be helpful to know, we could do that.
It sounds like useful information to me. At the very least, it might give us some information on where it was sourced or how it was produced, and that could be valuable. You did a good job today, Henry. All right, so that was everyone for the guards, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Call is probably going to start walking as if to leave, just fully, further delaying the are we going to tell the captain kind of conversation. So, and probably, unless someone says otherwise, start just immediately walking back towards Ren's room so that they have a place to just sit down and chat and, like, figure out what their next step is.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah.
Back to Ren's room.
All right. And once again, Call goes straight to Pier. I need you to understand, Call is going to be either headfirst in Pier's fur or absolutely just carrying her like a baby all around Ren's room, showing her the window, showing her the desk, presenting her to Henry.
I think Henry says, "Oh, I guess." So Henry turns to Ren and says, "I can speak with animals, but I know that she's special. Can she understand thoughts? Your thoughts?"
She is technically a spirit, and I have a link with her. Hey, DM.
Yeah.
Does Pierce speak something aligned with speak with animals?
Your familiar can telepathically communicate with you and can understand. It can understand any language you can understand. So, but she cannot speak herself. I don't know. Let me look at it. Let me look at it.
But does Truffle know we love him?
Yeah, because we told Truffle that we love him. So I think Henry's gonna lean in, trying to be like, does she know how much we love her?
Yes.
Does she understand?
She does, I promise.
Okay, because if she doesn't, I can, if that works. I don't know how.
She can understand common. She hears you.
Yeah, at the very
We
least,
love you.
yeah, Pierre can understand everything y'all say. It's just like Pierre can't really talk back. Pierre can like relay information to Ren, but I wouldn't even say that it's fully. It's not talking really.
Yeah, it's
like sensory information.
I think so I think Henry goes and sits by Call and starts petting Pierre and is like, "Yes, we love you. You're such a good girl." Yeah, just doing full baby talk.
I'm certain that she is a spoiled little princess and she loves the attention. Like, most cats don't actually like to be carried by like a baby all the time. Pierre loves it. So, yeah. So she's
Call
just been
would have
kind
put
of
her down if she didn't seem happy with it.
No, she's having so much fun. She's probably batting at Call's necklace, and their earrings if she can reach them. But yeah, Pierre has basically been in Ren's room playing like guard, I guess. Like Ren is so suspicious that somebody is gonna like try and get into his room or something like that. So Pierre has been kind of like playing guard there. But yeah, until like he might get the idea that he needs to take her into the city with him or something like that, and then he'll like summon her as like, I don't know, a weasel. I think the weasel is really cute. But anyway, we have things to discuss. So the guards were among our only leads. Thinking of other witnesses. I don't suppose the hearts would be up for a conversation.
Literally, that's what I was just thinking.
Ren looks like this physically pains him to say. Or, see, thinking back to like everyone we saw in the crowd that day. There was that guy pickpocketing people.
Yeah, a Call was literally going, I wonder what happened to that thief.
Y'all.
I wonder if he had light hands.
Ha.
Remind me real quick. Does anybody remember who spotted the slice when y'all went and investigated the house? Does anybody
It was
remember
Ren.
who?
I think it was Ren.
Okay.
If
Ren's
you
the one
need,
who spotted the slice.
I probably have it in my notes if you like for sure need confirmation, but I'm pretty sure it was Ren too.
I would very much like to know. Are you searching for it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll look for it.
Okay. If you can figure that out, it'd be great.
I think it was Ren because I remember him going like, "Hey guys, I think there's somebody breaking into a house over there. Should we be concerned?" So.
Ren is the one who saw him.
Okay. Good enough.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Ren's not like saying all of this out loud, but like I'm going through the list of like people that, might have been at the execution. There was Juster. There was Juster's terrifying boss.
We should just bring Juster back to the city. For the investigation. No other reasons.
Of course.
Yeah, no other reason.
No other reasons.
Yeah. Pickpocket, the hearts, Captain.
There was that Goliath guy.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's also gone because he was with the elves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was Captain Ryan or Lord Commander Ryan on the platform. Captain Ryan. Okay. And then there was one other guy. I think the executioner.
Mm-hmm.
And when we asked Captain Ryan about it, he was like, "Yeah, the execution and I were focused on keeping this down. We didn't really see anything."
Yeah. Okay. And notably,
Notably, Noah's there. Sorry.
I think Ren is still like he's been stewing on this for a while, and like we just haven't had like reason to investigate it further, you know? But I am still wondering why most people of political note were not present. The Count ordered the execution and then did not go to see it.
I have to admit, I'm wondering that as well. And honestly, none of us are natives to the city, and it's making me wonder how often executions take place. Because if this was the first public execution in a while, then wouldn't it make sense for the Count to be here for that? I mean, if they were rote, I can understand missing, but if this is noteworthy, then his absence is even more glaring.
Exactly.
DM, do we know this?
Yeah, Henry asked Eurydius this, second brother Eurydius, because he is a elf who's been in Storgard for a long time. And sorry, let me see if I can find. Ben, if you want to say it while I look at this,
sorry, what is the question exactly?
How many?
How often do public executions happen here?
So Henry did ask that. This, I believe, I don't want to contradict myself. So if you can find that conversation with Eurydius.
Yeah. I found the conversation. He's been in Stargard for the past 50 years, so that goes back to Count Store. Store was generous with the axe. That's what he said. There were not many, if any, baseless executions, but he was very strict with the law, and so it was decently common. There was only one execution under Arthur. There have not been many execution under Anders' reign, but he does not have mercy in his heart for those he deems monstrous. So they're not commonplace.
Yeah. So it's not super common. It's not like once a month or anything insane like that. But it's not an unheard of punishment in the area.
Okay.
I think Henry looks at Call and goes, I mean, Captain Dawn wasn't there, and I think that if she would tell you, if the reason is a reason she could tell you, I think she would be a straight, she would tell you the truth. So maybe we could ask her.
We could, but I don't know if that's super high priority at the moment. I'm not quite sure what that answer would give us in our investigation.
I guess we could just ask her
right.
when we report to her next.
I agree.
Put it on the
And
docket.
it's a good point. I've been curious myself, so it's definitely worth asking.
Okay.
Is it?
There.
Sorry. Ben, what time is it?
I believe I said the exact time.
It was 2:30 when we went to the guardhouse.
Okay.
2:30 p.m. So then talking to everyone and then coming back.
Yeah, so the fact that y'all had to track down 5 guards and find that 2 of them weren't available to you, plus talk to the 6 that you healed in the infirmary wing, that honestly would take some time. We're probably pushing 5:30.
Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
I forgot.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh, essentially just if we're not getting anything out of looking for witnesses, what other leads do we have? Like, what other resources do we have?
I don't know. Feel free to reject this option. But we could send, if we're a little worried about going to, the tavern ourselves very often, we might be able to send Pier.
This is true.
She might be able to follow the lady that we were looking at the other day. We might get, or it was earlier today. She might be able to follow the lady we saw earlier today. I mean, for all we know, she'll have more information that she can give us.
Okay. Should that be a thing for tomorrow?
Yeah, if it's late in the evening at this point, there's no reason to assume she's still there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so
just for that effect, if you want to look through Pier's eyes, you have to be within 100 feet. The one exception is if you enter Pier's eyes and ears and control her directly, and then leave that 100 feet. As long as you stay in Pier, you can go further than 100 feet. But then if you come out, you can't go back in. And while you are in Pier, looking through Pier's eyes and ears, you can speak out of Ren's mouth, but you cannot see or hear. I believe you still have the sense of touch, so if someone taps you on the shoulder, you can feel that. But you can't see or hear anything that's going on around Ren.
okay. So that could be a very fun surveillance mission. Okay. So that'll be something that we'll try tomorrow, maybe. I wonder if we would get anything out of looking into the library break-in more at all. The case has been closed, and I don't think the Count would appreciate it if he knew that anyone were second-guessing his decision that it has been closed. So we would have to be very careful about that if we were to go about investigating that anymore. But I don't know how involved that was. It's probably nothing. I don't know. We never figured out what was going on there.
Well, we didn't know exactly, but remember Lady Hart said that I remember her saying something on the night of the execution, something like it was a distraction so that people would be looking there and wouldn't be looking somewhere else that they were doing stuff.
Yes, but what I mean is, who was that a distraction for? Like, who performed the distraction? And then what happened while everyone wasn't looking?
I mean, from what she said, I would imagine it was it was maybe one of the hearts or somebody who was in their pocket who was creating the distraction of breaking into the library. And it's probably that there wasn't anything going on in the library, but if you're saying, what were they doing while the library was being broken into? I mean, I think that's a good question, but where would we even start with that?
Yeah. Yeah, this
And
really had nothing to do with it.
yeah.
So there's really no tie between there and potentially the light hands. Would there be like criminal records or anything if the light hands are an established group? Would the city guard know anything about them at all? Like, do we have access to those kind of records if there are any? Does that make sense?
Captain Ryan seems to have lots of different kinds of records on his desk and in his office. You don't know. You don't know the specifics of what the contents of those records or what all is involved there, but
Yeah. Ren's gonna kind of ask along the lines of that, like looking more at like Colin Henry, like, okay, these are the two like soldiers. I'm just some guy in a tower or some guys. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
our guy.
Oh. Well, yeah, we know that Ren's not the soldier here. Like, you guys are like closer to guard status or like, city.
Mm.
Y'all are the
City officials.
police. Ren is a nerd. So
Oh
Did
my
you just
god,
call
a
me a
cab.
cop?
yeah,
A cab.
yeah.
Guess
I
we have to
mean,
make new characters.
to be completely fair, the three of you are all members of a corps. So you're kind of all as much cops as the rest of you, but really what you are is a standing army. That, like, your job classification is soldier, all three of you.
Ren didn't dodge the draft.
You dodged the draft of go to war, and instead you joined the draft of stay in a cushy tower.
Okay. Yeah. Regardless, I think Ren would be like looking to Colin Henry more for guidance because like Ren does not see himself as like closer to the function of the guards than Colin Henry are. Does that make sense? Yeah. Ren does not see you guys as cops.
I don't think Henry would pick up on that Ren feels that way unless Ren said it, because I think Henry also doesn't feel super close to the guards, though us looking at it, looking in, he is, but I don't think he would feel that way unless Ren said something.
Ren's not gonna phrase it like that. But like Ren thinks that if anyone in the group knows a little bit more about how like the guard captain keeps records about criminal activity, it's not Ren because he doesn't know anything. So he's asking if y'all know anything. Which I don't know if you do.
I don't think any of us really knows the thing. Like, whether the Corps of Blades as a general rule would know. Call was, taken in by Zerka immediately and has only been doing Zerka's training. And Zerka's not the kind of person who's going to take notes the same way the captain of the city guard would. So, I mean, at that point, it may just be worth it to ask if we can have access to some of his records. But I don't think he's going to let us unless he can guide us in a specific direction.
So maybe we have Pure Tail, the woman, and maybe we go back to the tavern again in a few days, like we were talking about, if we think it's necessary. And then as we find out just a little bit more information, we could go to Captain Ryan about the light hands. What do y'all think?
I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense.
When would be a good time for any of us to go back to the tavern?
I think we said in a few days.
Yeah.
Like, because the food was so good, it'd be like, oh yeah, we're just going for lunch again.
It was good.
Yeah. We could very realistically go back to the tavern in a few days with that excuse, but any closer than about 3 days from now is going to be soon enough to be cautious. The longer we wait, the less likely we are to excite any kind of suspicion. So, unfortunately, that was kind of our lot, I believe, for the next few days, if we don't want to risk them shuttering up the same way that they do when the guards come by.
Okay. Ren is going to kind of repeat the system of like how he can see through Pier's eyes and stuff like that, in case he already didn't already explain all of that. Yeah, so Ren's probably going to say that I may stay here and send Pier out there because I don't know where I would realistically just sit and wait like within 100 feet from the tavern while communicating with Pier. So I would have to send her out further anyway. So I might as well just wait here where I'm supposed to be. Does that make sense?
I think that makes sense. And I think one of us should stay with you so that someone has eyes open.
Okay. I picture Ren like sitting on his probably at the desk chair and like you know when people like just jiggle their leg like their knee like they're nervous and stuff. I really feel like Ren's just doing that and kind of looking around the room. He really wants to learn that spell that Barnabas and Kenda keep doing, where it's like, ah, yes, all the sounds are muffled and stuff, and no one can hear you. Ren really wants to know that spell. If it's not an actual spell list, I'm begging the DM to make it into a custom spell so I can have it.
Been planning on doing that for a while.
I want it so badly.
You straight up just called me out. I'm sitting here bouncing my knees.
Oh man, okay, yeah.
Get wrecked, Ben.
Oh my god.
Because, I mean, let's be real. Kenda or Barnabas would teach that to Ren if he asked.
I think Kenda might. I think Barnabas might be like, what are you doing that for?
Well, if Barnabas tried to teach it to it, teach it to you, it'd be out of a book, and it would be rather hard for you to learn because as of yet you don't have a level in wizard. You just have a feat. So that would be like, which I'm thinking it's going to be either a 3rd or 4th level spell. So if you were trying to get there through Barnabas, it would require a lot of study.
And it's funny because we have talked about how Red isn't actually book smart, and he's fooled everyone into thinking he is.
You remind me of that line from New Girl where Nick Miller is just like, I'm not convinced I actually know how to read. I feel like I've just memorized a bunch of words.
That's Ren, actually.
Bronwyn, you have such good takes. Yours with the Henry not talking about himself, and with Ren not good takes.
Yeah, I just rolled a nat 20
I did my
on nothing.
best.
Huh?
I just rolled a nat 20 on nothing. Was it rolling for anything and rolled a 20?
We'd love to see it.
I really want to learn that spell. Okay.
All right. So are y'all doing the peer thing now, or
No?
Okay.
We might do that
Or
the day after.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we want to skip to that or?
Henry has a sending to send tonight, but other than that, yes.
Have you already sent that one to me?
No, I was planning because I knew
this is
about what he was gonna say, but I wasn't sure what state of mind he was gonna be in because the wording is gonna vary
yeah.
depending on how he feels. So
hmm hmm
I kind of want to say it out loud because I feel like you're not gonna get everything if I just send it to you. Do you want me to come in there and say it, or
Yeah,
can I say it
you
on
can
Zoom?
just come in here and
Okay.
say it. I feel like I mean all of these sendings have been kept a secret from both the two of you and the audience, so no reason not to keep them in the dark.
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
Okay. So he says, I put it in our chat as well.
Okay, good.
But he says, I want to see more butts. And it was like a chuckle in his voice, but then he, there's a dot dot dot, it's like waiting a beat, and he's like, did you send this to me so that do you want to keep hearing from me? Does it bring you joy, or?
Is that 25 words?
I think it's 22, but he's going to break off.
Okay. All right. I will get you a response in a moment. Okay. I need to spend a moment. If y'all want to just have we're friends time, you can. But because I need to respond.
I think we're friends.
So yeah.
At this point, Call has apparently no respect for other people's personal space. So Call is at this point probably sitting on Ren's bed, just like holding their necklace over Pier, and is just like casually just making themselves comfortable playing with Pier. While listening, like they're paying attention, but I think Call is just being that asshole who just makes himself way too much at home.
I think while they're playing with Pier, Henry says, I feel like there's a difference in my connection with George. I think he's gonna look different when I see him next, and I'm curious
Wait,
to
really?
see what he looks like. Yeah, I don't. Something just feels like it changed,
Okay.
Oh,
so I'm excited.
a good change?
I think a good change. But also I've talked to other members of the Core of Light who have steeds, and apparently they can look pretty scary sometimes. So I'm gonna wait just in case. I don't know what he's gonna look like. I don't want to. Not that my worst case is like, what if he comes back as a dragon or something, and then. Can you imagine? And Henry like is laughing about it. Like, of course he wouldn't come back as a dragon, but still, it's funny.
Well, you never know. Maybe he will.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, at the latest, we would see when we go back into the hills. But it'll be interesting.
It's really fascinating. Do you think George shows up differently for anybody who's able to summon him? Are you the only one who's able? Call's about to like really get into start like questioning mode.
Henry answers the best he can to all of Call's questions. I think a lot of Henry's magic, and it's probably the same with Ren, is like It's just it's just something that happens. It's not something that we fully understand. Like we're not wizards. To be like, yeah, I mean, I feel like it would work this way. It seems like it would be like this, and kind of give his best guess on things.
Do you want a mechanical rundown of how the spell works?
Boy, do I ever.
So Find Speed is very similar to Find Familiar. There are a few differences. I'm gonna bring up the actual text so that I don't lie to you. By the way, I have the response all typed out, but you're not gonna get it until you actually go to sleep and have sent it. So whenever y'all's conversation here ends and you go to bed, I will respond to you. Where is it? Find Speed. Yeah, so a little bit of a difference. So Find Familiar, you can like poof it out of existence and then poof it back as long as it isn't killed. Find Steed, if you poof it out of existence, you have to cast the spell again to get it back. And other than that, it is a much stronger being than Find Familiar, in that, I mean, it can have full-on attacks and such. In the text of the spell, and kind of what Henry is alluding to with what he is saying is kind of you're supposed to find a familiar. So in Find Familiar, you're kind of like creating the creature that you want to help you. For Find Steed, it is a divine creature that is already kind of bound to you that you are just summoning. So you really don't have, lore-wise, you don't have much effect over what it looks like and what it does, but flavor-wise, because this is a game, it looks how you want it to. But in my opinion, the text of the spell makes it sound like you can't just constantly change what it looks like. It's one spirit that is connected to you. So that's kind of what Ash is alluding to with this roleplay, which well done. Is that George shouldn't look any different when cast, but something has happened, and Henry thinks that maybe George will look different. Does that bring up more questions or answer some?
Answer.
Cool. So, is there any other shop talk that y'all are going to do tonight?
Maybe just plan to meet up tomorrow. Like what time? Maybe 9 in Ren's room.
While Call is always happy to hang out, I'm not sure 9 is going to make sense if that's when we're planning to get started. But we could probably do something like 10:30 or 11, and she'd be more likely to be there.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, as for Pier getting there, if Pier is going to be like a weasel, which I think would be ideal for this particular endeavor, I don't think Ren would want to have to like walk a weasel from like one side of the city to another. Should we just make Pier Little Weasel run all the way from here to the industrial district by herself?
That's something you are able to do. Depending on when you do it, there's no telling what someone will do if they just see a weasel run across the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the alternative is you and either one or both of us going with you, going into the eyes of Pier, and then us walking you back as a blind man back to your tower.
Or we could just have Pier run all the way over there. She probably wouldn't mind.
He doesn't have a physical body that's gonna be sore from it.
Yeah. Ren would be the one doing the legwork anyway. Yeah. Okay. Let's just do that. Let's just move on. We're gonna do that. We're just gonna have Pierre run across town.
Okay, so y'all are doing that the next morning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And thus, Ren might want to actually get an early start just so he can get Pierre from Mage Tower to Tavern. Because that might take
Valid.
Hmm?
Valid.
Valid, yeah. Okay.
All right. So do y'all separate for the night?
I believe so.
All right.
Probably just separate for the night and go home and go to bed or hang out with friends. If it's still early enough in the evening, Call is probably gonna hang out with Jax if he's awake.
Okay.
But like we don't have to RP it. I'm just saying that,
Well,
there are things people have lives.
I'm going to narrate one thing. Henry goes back to his room, sends a sending, and then does that. That exact pose for the rest of the night until he decides to go to sleep. But yes, Jax is there. His sleeping schedule's getting a little fucked, so I'm gonna say that he woke up recently. So he's more than happy to talk. One thing that does happen while you're talking to Jax, and this is kind of later on, because y'all were at Ren's room at roughly dinner time. I assume y'all ate. So it's pushing 8:30, and Dirk comes in to the barracks looking like he has been run ragged.
Goodness, what happened to you?
He gives you a little bit of a glare, and he's like, well, Zerka put me on the execution idiots whatever thing. And then he just flops onto his bunk and says, and I've been getting jack shit.
Wait, Zerka also put you on the same mask?
He kind of halfway opens his eyes and he's like, yeah. Way she's telling it, she assumes that you're getting somewhere. That's why you haven't reported in recently.
Well, we're getting somewhere. We have more than nothing, but not enough. I was kind of hoping to wait to make a report until we had something that warranted reporting.
He just kind of rolls his head so he is completely face down on his bunk, and is now talking muffled through his bedding. And he's like, "Well, that's just shit news." And then he army crawls further into the bed, and says, it doesn't say anything. He just kind of vaguely gestures, completely face down on his bed, and just kind of vaguely throws his arms around.
Given that, Call's going to go, I'll be right back, and excuse themselves to, honestly, to go see if Zerka is in her office.
Yeah, she is.
Okay. Call's gonna poke their head in and say, I was hoping to come back when I had something more substantial to report, but it sounds like I am behind on my duties.
She just kind of looks up at you. The usual shit on her desk, still in her wearing what she normally wears, and she just looks up and says, "I was afraid of that. I was staying hopeful, but yeah, I understand that if we had been put on this case sooner, maybe the leads wouldn't be so cold."
We have potential for a lead. Honestly, I'm at the risk of jinxing it. I would like to tell you more tomorrow once we've had time to work things through. But at least we don't have nothing. Which by the sound of today is more than what Dirk can say. Unfortunately.
She rolls her eyes a little bit, and then she's going to give you a bit of an evaluating look. What is Call's opinion of Dirk?
Are you asking as the DM?
As a DM, yeah. What is?
Call and Dirk aren't particularly close. I think Call finds Dirk entertaining, but doesn't really have like a huge opinion one way or another on Dirk as a person. Like definitely doesn't have any like ill will towards Dirk, but like would definitely be one of the people that Call is least close to out of the dozen.
Okay. Okay. Zerka rolled a very good insight check. But she's going to sit there and study you for a second and just kind of nod, and then she's going to say, "Well, for the time being, while neither of you have anything concrete, I'm going to have you keep your efforts separate. If either of you get any hard evidence, I will have you share it with each other. But I think that having your efforts separated may prove beneficial. I think that the people we are looking for are good at staying hidden, and I would like to, I don't want everyone tied together at the hip, so that if one falls, you all fall."
That makes sense. Thank you for letting me know. I otherwise would have probably been doing exactly the opposite, so I appreciate it. Is there anything that... And Call's gonna pause and be like, never mind, you actually weren't there that day yourself. I was going to ask you if you remembered anything in particular.
She gives you a little bit of a look at that. Give me an insight check.
Sure. Oof, lame. It's only an 11.
All right. there's something questioning in her look, but you're not sure to what extent or what she's trying to figure out.
Okay. Hilariously, Bronwyn did not actually mean anything by it because Bronwyn started that question before going, wait, we already established that Zerka wasn't there. And so that just turned into something very organic, but
It's not that Call is passive aggressive, it's that Bronwyn forgot.
oh yeah, no, it's not that Call's passive aggressive, it's that Bronwyn's dumb.
Is Asher frozen for anyone else?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't been able to see Asher in a hot minute.
Okay, Ash, will you leave and rejoin, please?
Yeah. Sad for you all that you haven't been able to see me.
I mean,
Haven't been able to see your beautiful face.
saw your reaction to this ending.
Discord is not frozen for me.
Oh, yay.
Oh god.
Discord hates all of us today.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, yeah. It's frozen for me. I'll figure it out, sorry. Like
I think
like go ahead. I'm just gonna work on this in the background. That's what I meant. Sorry.
okay. I think Call's going to just say, it seems like everything's been in a period of high stress lately. How are you holding up?
Oh, to Zerka. Right, I
To
forgot where
Zerka.
we are. Um, uh, she kind of freezes up a little bit, and you actually notice like some of the fur on the back of her neck is raising a little bit.
Call's gonna kind of try to project a didn't mean anything by it stance. But without being without reacting too aggressively. Try to be subtle about it.
Okay. She doesn't say anything for just a brief time, and then kind of gives herself a shake, and her normal demeanor comes back. That's not something she really does. She is relatively quick to anger, but usually she doesn't broadcast her emotions that heavily. But when she rolls in that one, she does. It's not very long. It's not even like a pause long enough for you to be like, okay, I'll just backtrack and run away. It's a brief pause, and then she says, things are moving far too quickly and far too slowly all at once.
Call's gonna kind of just sigh and nod in agreement. Sorry, I interrupted.
No problem. It doesn't help that we are down more than half our number, but I still think it was the right choice to send them away.
Call is going to nod and say, I heard that Seymour wasn't doing any better.
Seymour has been very unstable. It's not like him.
I'm concerned. I don't like to hear that from him. I don't like the idea that I'm not trying to minimize. I'm not trying to minimize anything about what happened, but I don't like that one thing is able to unsettle him so wholly. I'm worried about him.
I blame myself a bit for his reaction. I was focused on the results we needed and progress that needed to be made. And I don't think I reacted to him the way I should have. He more than once spoke out in situations where there were those who could hear him that things could have ended poorly for him if he continued speaking the way he was. And I don't think I gave him enough time to recover before giving him a new task. And it seemed to just make him get worse by the day. I'm hoping some time away from the city will have cleared his head and calmed him, and I hope we have him back when he returns.
It's probably a good thing that Percy's with him then.
I do have reasons for most of my actions.
Far more reasons than I can ever guess. Call's going to... Unless Zerka looks like she's about to speak. Is she, or was that just Ben?
She looks much more lost in thought. Honestly, looking at her, it's like she might open up and start telling you her life story, or she might just start muttering to herself. You honestly have no idea where her mind is going.
In that case, Call's going to kind of give it a moment and see what, if anything, is going to come of that, or if it ends up being time to bow out.
Give me a perception check, because I enjoy making you roll for things.
I enjoy rolling for things. Let's see if I've only rolled low today with my call dice. Let me try my tricks dice instead and see if that helps. That would be a 24.
All right. Zerka is standing straight with her hands behind her back, but even with her hands behind her back, you can tell from just like slight adjustments of her arms that you can see that she is like rubbing what you would assume where those scars are on her wrists, and shakes her head very slightly to herself, and then makes eye contact with you, and gives not like a rude dismissive way, not in a rude dismissive way, but it's like she nods towards the door in not a formal dismissal, but kind of a you're free to go.
Alright. Call is going to nod and start heading for the door and say, if there's any way I can be of further assistance, you know where to find me. Just kind of on their way out.
There is her mouth curls into a smirk, and there's a little bit of a twinkle in her eye when you say that. Kind of to imply, I know where you are more than you think.
Oh no! Call is that is the joke Call was making. Call remembers how they met. So, no, Call's whole, you know where to find me thing is absolutely, alright, you cagey bastard, I know you know things. So.
Alrighty. Anybody have anything else they want to do this night? As it is starting to get late.
I think I'm alright.
Ash, are you here? Because you're muted.
Yeah, I'm on my phone because my computer just crapped out.
Oh,
So.
yay! Yeah. So, morning comes, and you all reunite at your specified time of, what was it? Was it 9?
It's like
10:30.
10:30, I thought.
10:30? Okay, so y'all rejoin at about 10:30 in Ren's room.
Can I say that first thing Ren did when he woke up was to re-summon Pier, and so he would cast Find Familiar again because
Sure,
he needs her to
absolutely.
be a weasel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Make sure you mark off those material components.
Yes. And that is a stick of incense.
Henry.
Oh my gosh, you're so loud.
Sorry, is this better?
I'm going to turn you down a little bit on my end.
Okay. Henry gets different spells so that we can go and do detect poison. Also, Henry sends a note to the Hearts and asks if he can bring breakfast tomorrow or the next day.
Okay. All right. You. Why is he so small? Why is she so small? Oh,
Weasels are way smaller than I thought they were.
so small.
Have you ever seen a least weasel?
No.
You're about to.
Oh
no. Ash, seeing that picture immediately made me want to channel Ida. No! When she first sees Boggy.
Yeah.
Magic is real, and so is my frog. Y'all should just watch D20. It's great. He's a shoelace. All right. You do. Any response to the note you send would be returned to your rooms, so you will get that response whenever you return to your room. But other than that, the three of you meet together in Ren's room. Yes. For anyone watching at home, there are many pictures of Weasel in the gameplay chat.
Yes, there are.
God.
They're very cute.
Also, they are cute weasels. Also, just putting it out in the universe that Call did spend the early part of their morning taking Truffle out to the training grounds so that he could hop around and explore a little bit and get some exercise.
Excellent.
So, just putting that in the world.
I will say that for the most part, he has been just hanging out in the barracks. So he's getting a little chub, probably because there's more than one person feeding him on intermittent schedules. So your boy eats good, and has also been in an enclosed room, not running around super much. So he is in no way unhealthy, but he's got a little chub.
Funny.
If that's happening, then Call's probably going to actually take Truffle on a little bit of an adventure today and take Truffle to Ren's room in the hope that Truffle will get curious and explore and get some exercise hopping around exploring Ren's room.
It's sad because Ren won't be able to see it. Ren's gonna be busy.
Rest in fucking pieces.
He can't.
Okay,
No
so
rest
now
period.
the three of you arrive.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not a problem. It's just perfectly valid interruptions. I'm happy with every interruption, but I believe this is the fourth time I'm saying that y'all arrived to the room. Perfectly valid interruptions. Do not hold them at bay in the future. Are y'all right away just sending off a cute little tiny pier?
Probably very soon. Yeah. I think Ren might actually set Pierre down at the base of the tower so she doesn't have to I don't know, he doesn't have to throw her out the window and cast Featherfall to, let her descend, and he doesn't have to, make her, go down the whole tower. So he's probably just gonna leave her if there's a little garden or something. So yeah, where he can still talk to her, I guess.
Call's absolutely gonna lose their goddamn mind over how cute Pier is, and that is going to happen before Pier is able to leave.
Yeah, when Ren answers the door, he's probably just Pierre's probably just peeking out of his shirt collar or something. So because we like cute things, as half these interruptions have said. So yeah, but yeah, Pierre's right there, and also when Ren sees Truffle, he probably makes a noise of sort of distress, but he's just happy to see Truffle again. Just Ren makes a I miss Truffle noise. And with that, I think Pierre is ready to go. Ren is probably sitting he's probably just gonna lie on his bed and do the spell. We good?
Okay. So, firstly, I'm going to need a stealth check for Pierre.
What die am I going to use?
Remember, you're using Pierre's stats, not your own.
Yes. And so Pierre gets a +5 to stealth as a weasel. That is a 24. That's what numbers do.
That's a good number. Okay. Okay.
Good weasel.
Just for the sake of, because I want to say it out loud, anyone who may or may not be watching y'all isn't looking for a weasel. So anyone trying to spot Pierre, specifically related to the lot of you, is going to have disadvantage and also have to beat a 24 to spot Pierre.
Also, Ren has never been seen around anywhere with a weasel before.
This is true. So there's no connection of this weasel to y'all, and which is why it's the disadvantage. So even if spotted, somebody's going to have to get a little bit more than just, hey, look, a weasel, to know that it is Pierre if they know Pierre exists, and much further if it is associated with y'all in any way. So, it's a long trip. This is like a 25-minute walk with big people legs. And as we pointed out, Pierre is very small. So it takes a while to get there. I'm going to say pushing 2 hours for Pier to get the whole way there. But however, I will say with a 24 stealth check, no random people screaming, "Oh my god, a rodent!" Which also, I mean, just running through the streets, it's a big city. There's rats and such as well, so most people aren't going to look twice anyway. Even if they were to see this super stealthy weasel. But as I say, about 2 hours go by. Funny enough, we approach about lunchtime as Pier arrives at the Half a Mug Tavern.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. How was the window situation in this place?
Pretty sparse, actually. Most of the buildings in this district have few, if any, windows. The tavern has a door with a window in it, and then there is one door on the west side of the building.
Okay. The west side, which is where the lady was sitting the day before, right?
It's middle of the wall, so it's quite a bit further south than where the half-elf and the Ergenazi were sitting. But it is on that same wall, yes.
Yeah. Okay. The side of the outer side of the tavern, just outside, does that seem very open? Like, are people gonna be looking at the wall right there, or do you think Pierre could
So I mean, it is an alleyway. It's not impossible. Like it is in view from the street. But I mean, this is still a pretty stealthy weasel. You're gonna have to roll again if you're trying to get in through the window, but it's up to you.
Okay. Ideally, if there is a way that Pierre can get up in the rafters, if there's, I don't know, some kind of hole in the roof or something like that, if she can climb up the side of it. I don't know. This is a really weird specific circumstance.
Does a weasel have a climbing speed?
Do they? I don't know. Speed is 30 feet. I don't know do weasels climb?
Yeah, it's a rodent.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So
Speaking as a ferret owner.
Because they are not listed with a climb speed, I am going to have her make a check for it. But it'll be on a successful check, then I'm going to have you make a flat stealth roll. On a failed check, it will be at disadvantage for the stealth because I'm going to say that there's skittering and noises as Pierre is trying to climb the wall.
Okay. So like a climbing. Okay, you're going to have me roll for her climbing.
Yes. And on a success, your stealth check will be flat.
Okay.
On a
what
fail,
bonuses?
so whatever appears, it'll be acrobatics or athletics, your choice.
Okay, that'll be dexterity. That is a 13.
Okay, that's a pass.
Okay.
So now the stealth check, which will just be made flat.
It's a fucking nat 20.
The most silent weasel to ever weasel runs up the side of a building. And
this die is full of love.
Now Pierre is on the roof of the tavern. From the top, you do see there is a smokestack that you assume probably isn't a forge fire, much more likely the cook fire that the tavern uses. Other than that, the roof is slanted all to one side. When pier gets to the top of the roof, it is at the lowest point of the roof on the west side, and it slopes gradually all the way to the east. It's a pretty narrow slope, but it's not like this. It's just like this. So there's the smokestack, slightly slanted roof. There's nothing really else up here but bird poop.
Okay. What kind of repair does the roof seem to be in? Like, are there any holes, like anything that might annoy them whenever it rains or anything?
No. It is most of the buildings in this area are, first of all, hewn stone, and second, pretty good repair, and also relatively new, at least for a stone building.
Fair. Okay. The smokestack, does that seem active right now?
There is a light white smoke coming out of the stack.
Yeah. Okay. What about the windows? Are the windows like open, or are they just like solid glass, like you can't get in otherwise?
So the window that you climbed past, not like in front of, but on the west wall, it's actually cracked open because, as I said, there's not a lot of windows, and it's a stone building, so it gets pretty stuffy pretty easily. This, just for lore reasons, this window was carved after the building was bought and turned into a tavern. For this reason specifically, it got real fucking hot in there. So yeah, there is a window, and it is cracked open to let in airflow into the building to hopefully relax some of the heat within.
Okay. Pierre's going to climb back down and try to get in through the window if there seems to be like an opening where people wouldn't be watching her.
You got a nat 20 on fucking stealth, so I am going to have you roll. I'm going to have you roll another stealth check, but I'm going to have you do it with advantage.
Okay. That is... And I cannot fail. That's another 24. I got a 17
Okay.
and a 19.
The very, very sneaky Pier clambers down to the window. Clamber is a much louder word than Pier makes, but gets down onto the ledge, looks around, finds the perfect time when no one is looking directly at the window. Once again, pretty packed inside, and nobody's really looking around paying attention to the one window. Darts inside. Where are you trying to go?
If there's anything like in the rafters, like just like if there's anything like up the wall, if there are just like beams overhead or anything.
So there are beams supporting the roof. So you just head up the wall to get a look down. All right. You do that. You are up there, and I got rolled. Had to roll. Okay. So what are you looking for once you get to where you are?
She's looking at the spot where the human lady was yesterday, and she's gonna kind of just perch and wait and watch for like people coming in and taking seats and stuff.
Okay. Make a perception check for me.
Okay. She gets advantage on perception that relies on hearing or smell. So would this be more visual or just?
It relies on hearing or smell, definitely. So you do get advantage.
Okay, cool. And okay, thank God for advantage. Okay, that is a 16.
16 perception. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah. Okay. Cool. With a 16 perception, you do spot her. She is in exactly the same booth as she was the day prior. And you just with a 16, you also spot the two, the half elf artificer and the air genasi, sitting at the bar in their same position. The artificer does not have quite as much shit in front of her this time. It's more concentrated into this slightly bronze orb that she is much more slowly adding pieces to.
Okay.
So like when y'all were there the day before, it was like putting a couple pieces together. Y'all saw the one time where like all the pieces just like scattered, and she let out a lot of curses. Now the orb is, well, first of all, it's perceivable as an orb. Or sphere is a much better word, considering it's made of clockwork and machinery than orb. So if you had to guess, you would assume that's probably the same parts. She's just closer to finished with it. The monk is actually playing dice with the person sitting to their right, and seeming very happy about it. And the half-orc is actually staying away from them at this time. Like, the half-orc was very friendly with the two of them when y'all were there, but right now is like on the other side of the bar and not paying them much attention. You sit there for a little bit, and then he goes and has a short conversation with the woman that you specifically said you were watching. And right now, that's all you've gotten on that 16 perception.
Okay. She is going to wait patiently and keep observing.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to say that like sound levels are raising at this point in time, because like this is kind of, or as far as the time that y'all have been there, you're approaching peak time, or peak, busyness for this tavern. After a little bit, I need to roll that. After a little bit, you start to notice the half-orc kind of scanning the rafters.
Okay.
He hasn't like locked eyes on you, but he's kind of looking across the rafters.
Okay. Yeah, she's gonna try and like get out of any line of sight and just listen for a while.
Okay. Because you're moving, give me another stealth check.
Okay, that's a 12.
Okay. Need to open something. Okay. As Pierre is moving, you spot that the half-orc sees Pierre.
Cool. She's still gonna sit there.
Just gonna sit there? Okay.
Just gonna sit there.
So there's a door behind the bar that goes, which also, because you were on the roof and you could see the smokestack, and also for being in there, like you can't see the fire that is the cook fire. It's through this door in this back room. That's not actually relevant right now, but I wanted to point it out. So he goes into the back, and then when he comes back, he has like a little. It's a little ridiculous. It's a tiny net. Like it's too small to like be like a butterfly catching net, but it's like seriously about this big around.
Okay.
Like Pier would, as small as Pier is, it would be kind of difficult to fit Pier into the opening of this net.
Okay.
Like lengthwise. So he goes in that back room, comes back out, and
when he disappears, I'm so sorry, but like as soon as he disappears, Pierre would have wanted to like relocate and try to hide somewhere else.
Okay, give me another stealth check.
Okay. Come on, baby. Okay, that's another 24.
That's the third 19
I
you've
know.
rolled.
I know. I've rolled 2 nat 20s and at least 3 19s. This is a stupid day for me.
Okay.
Which
The one
dice
you
set are
bought
you
me.
using?
This is Ren's die. It's the mushroom die. It is the one of extremes. So
Fuck yeah.
next session I'm probably just gonna get a streak of 1s. So we'll see what happens.
So he comes out and he has his little net, and he looks up to where he last saw Pierre, and then squints real hard and leans forward, and then a patron like gets his attention, and he looks over at them, kind of absentmindedly fills their mug, and then looks back at that spot, squints real hard, and then just kind of mutters a little bit, pulls the rag off his shoulder, and starts wiping down the counter.
Okay.
He's either for some reason playing it off or did not see you.
Okay. Yeah, Pierre's gonna sit tight and keep eyes on the human lady.
Okay.
Or keep ears.
Alrighty. Did you try to get close to her to be able to hear?
Yes.
Okay. You have moved quite a bit, so I will say I am going to assume that you have moved closer and closer to her to get a good listen in. At the moment, she is alone at the booth. At one point, a couple of halfling men covered in the grime come to the table, and they look like they're about to ask if they can sit down, and then a pretty stocky-looking dwarf stands up and points out a different table to them, and before even speaking to her, they veer off to the other table.
Damn, okay.
The like stocky-looking dwarf guy, who is not covered in coal, is like sitting at the very end, like the farthest east seat at the bar, and there's this little kind of, it's a tiny hallway that either leads to her table or behind the bar, and then this dwarf is sitting on the other side of this little tiny like walk space.
Okay. Can I get a description of the dwarf?
Yeah, like I said, he's a big guy, brown hair and beard that's a little scraggly, pretty short, which is the fashion in Cthulhu as a whole. Even if you wear facial hair, you do keep it pretty short. There's not a whole lot of long, tumbly beards. Henry is an exception. He's pretty short cut. He is very muscular, and also a bit stocky. Like, not everything on him is muscle, so he is just a dense, thick dwarf boy. Eddie. He has like brown eyes, brown hair, as I said, wearing just like plain clothes, and no scars that you can see, at least.
So she seems to have a bodyguard of some kind, or... Okay. What about the genasi and the artificer?
So they're like on the opposite side of the room. So as far as hearing them, you're not gonna be able to from where you are. About this time, it's been a little bit. The person that the Air Genasi was playing dice with left, seeming rather disgruntled. And the Air Genasi now has a small pile of coins that they're just stacking up and then like flicking one coin at a time out from under the stack into their hand. And the artificer is still very, very slowly, seeming to not like notice anything going on around her, very slowly fitting pieces into this mechanical sphere. You do notice that now that the person the Air Genasi was playing dice with has left, the half-orc has come back over and is joking around with them, talking to them happily.
Okay. And has anyone... Like, what time is it by now?
I mean, it's not much later. It's still before 1. Late in the hour, but before 1.
Okay. And has anyone approached the human woman since? Like, keeping attention on her because she's the one who...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not for a little while, but then finally a halfling man comes up. He has a little cap in his hands that he is slowly turning in his hands. He walks up and give me a perception check real quick.
Sight?
Sight.
Okay. That is a 11.
11. You don't notice anything, you failed the DC of the check. But he does go all the way up to the table and sit down. He's not interrupted. He sits down and is still twisting that hat worriedly in his hands. And now, give me another perception check. This one is hearing, to hear the conversation.
Okay, so advantage. Okay. That is a 19, right? Yes. Okay.
So with a 19, you certainly hear the halfling man. I don't have this written down or scripted, so I'm going to kind of fill in playing both parts of this conversation. He sits down, he's like, there was just nowhere else I could go. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to ask for more than I'm owed. And she just kind of waves him down and says, tell me the problem. Don't give me excuses. And he kind of stops and he sets his hat down on the table and then puts his hands under the table. And he says, they raised the rent again. This is the 3rd time this year, and they don't raise pay. He seems very, very nervous, and also a bit bashful. When he says that they raised rent, she raises an eyebrow and cocks her head a little bit. And then he says, I've got have 2 kids, and since the wife died, I can't afford to pay what they're asking and feed my kids and myself. And she just holds up a hand to him and says, "You do it on your time. It'll be 5 gold. It'll be once." And he just kind of nods, grabs his cat back off the table, and starts twisting it in his hands again. And she says, "That's all you need to know? As I said, when you can." And then she just kind of nods at the door, and he stands up and slowly, until he is past the stocky dwarf, walks, and then very brusquely picks up his pace and kind of bangs the door on his way out.
Okay. Fascinating.
I have so many thoughts.
Ren is going to wait just a little bit longer, like
Okay.
just to see if anyone else approaches.
The dwarf does get down from his bar stool and walks over to her and whispers in her ear, "I will let you make a perception check to hear it, but I'm just going to tell you it's a high DC."
Okay.
It's a loud room, and he is whispering.
Okay. Do I still get advantage on
It's
hearing?
still hearing. It's still hearing.
Okay. Just high DC. Okay. So that is a 21.
All right. You miss the first bit that he says. You do hear her, because she is not whispering. She just says, "One more today."
Okay.
And then he goes back and sits down.
Okay, so Ren is going to wait longer.
Alright.
If Henry and Call are just sitting in Ren's room while Ren's like apparently taking a nap this whole time, God. Okay, but yeah, he doesn't want to miss anything if he can catch anything.
So you wait a little bit longer. The room starts to clear out slightly. I'll say it pushes 1:30, 1:45. The room is slowly starting to clear out. A few patrons do come in as well, but for the most part, people are leaving. The Janazi and the half elf are still at the bar, and both the human woman and the dwarven man are both still sitting as they were. And then you see a taller male enter the tavern. I say that like it means something because elves and half elves are fairly rare in the area, and all the human men have been drafted. So taller men are somewhat rare in the area. And I will need you to make a perception check for me.
Okay. And is that taller man, is he human or elf?
Make a perception check.
Okay. 14.
Okay. You are trying to get a good look. He has a hood up. You're not 100% certain. Just you're fairly certain he is elven, half elven, or human. But you can't get a good look at him. It's weird how you can't get a good look at him. It's like every time you peek around to get a view, something's in the way. And then he finally sits, and his back is facing you. You are above them, but his back is still toward you. And he just sits across from the human woman. Give me an insight check.
A key? Just insight. This would be Pier's stats again.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, sorry. Insight is your stats because it's what you glean from them. At
They
least
get
I'm
the
really.
same bonus.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a 16.
Just as wise as a weasel.
Sometimes.
So
Smart.
15, you said? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, 16. It was a 15 plus 1.
Okay. On a 16, you don't read anything from the human woman. You can't really see enough of this man who came in to tell anything from him. The dwarf is sweating. By the way, the cloak and all of it, this guy came in. He's wearing a dark brown cloak with the hood up. And I will ask you for one more you know what? You're close enough, and there's enough people have left. Unless they decide to whisper something, you would be able to hear them talk because enough people have left, and it is now it's quiet enough to hear them speak, especially because you're focusing on them. Although you're fairly certain you would be able to hear them speak, but you're not hearing anything. You're also the human woman isn't like her mouth is not moving. She's not speaking.
Okay.
They're just sitting in silence for a while. And then the man pulls a pretty big coin pouch out and sets it on the table directly in front of himself. And I'm going to let that 16 insight hold over. Well, give me a second. Yeah. I'm going to let 16 insight hold over, and that is plenty to see the vein pop out on the neck of the human woman, and the obvious anger in her face. You see the man's hands just go palms up flat, and then makes a motion like scales. And you can see the human woman gripping the side of the table like she's trying to break it. It's a very sturdy wooden table, and she does not break it. And after a moment, the man puts his hands back down. They continue sitting in silence. And then finally, she stands and walks away from the table.
Okay.
She does not take the coin pouch.
Hey. Okay.
As she walks by, the dwarven man gets up and follows her
What does the tall man do?
out. He continues sitting at the table. After a minute or two, he just holds up a 1 to the half-orc, who joyfully, as he tends to his other customers, just walks over and hands him a mug of ale.
Okay. I feel like I should watch this guy until something else happens with him, but he might just be like sitting there just having lunch for the rest of the day.
How long
She's
do you
already
want to
left. Another 10 minutes.
wait? Okay. Okay. I'm going to. I have to roll some dice. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you see, he's sitting at the table, slowly drinking, and then after a little bit, the hand twitches, and you hear a rather loud curse from the half-elven woman. And do you turn to look?
Yes.
Okay. You look over at her. The sphere has expanded, and she is hastily like pushing in different locations and like recontracting the sphere.
Okay.
Looks a little panicked as she's doing it, and then you notice there is a small light coming from the inside of the sphere that begins to dim as she pushes these bits back into it, and then it returns to what it was before it expanded, and there's no more sign of that light.
Does the man look like he was paying any amount of attention to that?
Roll a perception check for me. Sight, so advantage.
Advantage on hearing, so no advantage on this
Oh,
one.
I thought you said sight and hearing.
No, hearing and scent.
Scent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't
Then
taken advantage on any of the sight ones,
good.
so.
Good. I think I've been telling you to, but that if you've been rolling right, then that's great.
I was looking out for that one. Okay, that is a 14.
There is no one at the table.
Okay. Ren is going to dismiss Pier, so she disappears there, and then he's going to resummon her in the room. So Ren wakes up, I guess.
Alrighty.
So yeah, y'all have been sitting there for hours.
About 3, yeah.
Yeah, we missed lunchtime. Interesting. Okay, so Ren is just gonna sit up and kind of hold Pier and look at the other two. And I don't know what to make of what I saw. And he'll just describe everything that he saw. Like, I was taking notes, like, you know, the entire like deal that went down with like the halfling with, you know, the hat. Looked like he was, you know, making some kind of deal under financial duress or something. And it looks like he was coming to her for help, but I don't know if she was assigning him a task or not. It was something that like he could do something on his own time. It'll be 5 gold and it'll be once, is what she said. I don't understand. He didn't give anything to her in exchange. I don't really understand what I saw there. And then, you know, he describes the taller man and how, like, they didn't say anything, but he didn't seem to speak and didn't really get a look at his face or anything like that, but he seemed to make her very mad. And she did not take whatever deal he was offering. So, yeah, Ren's just gonna unpack all of that for everyone. And thank you guys for waiting that whole time. So yeah.
Of course. I mean, we just talked, so that's a lot.
I wonder. This is entirely supposition. I am basing this on absolutely zero facts. Take what I say with a grain of salt. I wonder if the man was the person who hired, assuming a lot of things. I wonder if the man was the person who hired them for whatever job ended up taking Vist's life, and that maybe the rescue was their attempt to rectify the situation. This is supposing a lot of things, but that you mentioned a scale kind of gesture. That's it sounds to me like brushing off loss of life in pursuit of getting a job done.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of the woman's priorities, morally speaking. If she is, like, when we saw her yesterday, she seemed to, like, there were people thanking her, like, profusely thanking her. So it seems like she's helping people in a certain way, but I'm not sure what she's asking in return of them. It seemed like the halfling, he mentioned that he didn't want to ask for more than he was owed or anything. So there was still something transactional there. And I don't know what she's asking of these people that she's helping, but she seemed outraged by whatever this man was asking, and it was very mercantile. But yeah, brushing off loss of life might be something along the lines of it, so it's a possibility. I didn't get any specifics, but I feel like maybe there was more of an outline to their operations. I wonder how commonly known deals like this are in the industrial district. If this is where she operates.
I'm getting the impression that she sets up shop and waits for people to come to her.
Yeah. So she has to have some kind of reputation if, like, people are going to her of their own, initiative. And if she has some kind of reputation, we might have to figure out, like, how do any of the dozen have work in the industrial district often? Like, have they picked up anything along the lines of this sort of thing?
They would from time to time. You don't specifically know what information they've gathered. You do know that that some of them would work in the industrial district from time to time.
Okay.
One thing that I forgot to say, the halfling man did address the woman by name. He called her Erin.
Okay.
Erin?
Yes.
That was on the list of names of, like, unspecified characters that you gave
yeah.
us. Nice. She had a last name, and I'm not gonna look it up in the chat because I feel like that would be metagaming. But I remember it. That she was Erin.
Yeah, so he called her Miss Erin.
Cool. Okay, so Miss Erin. That's something to work with.
All right. Unless y'all have more discussion you want to do about that, I think we're going to call it.
I think we're gonna call it.
All righty. Good session, guys.
Here got her own little adventure.
He did, and
Yeah.
Henry
Pew
got to be
session.
an investigator.
Yeah.
Henry did so good.
Oh, thank you.
He did.
He was trying really hard.
All right.
And I love Eddie and all talks with Circa. So this was
Yeah.
a very good session.
I feel like, Ben, when there's certain characters that you role play that when you're talking as them, you just look so immersed in the character. Like Kendra's one of them, obviously, but like Zerka is definitely one of them. Like I was like, I was on my phone at that point because my computer was so freaking out, and I was like, this is like looking at your face, and you were just like, you're like making expressions and like pausing in the way that like it seemed very in character, and it was just, I love it. It's fun.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thanks, everybody, for watching.